Hey YouTube, Fishing with Brett here. Just wanted to do my first YouTube video ever on introducing myself and kind of what to expect with this channel. My name is John, hence have red hair, so that's why I named my channel Fishing with Red. Um, I'm from Anaheim, California, which is in Orange County, near Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, kind of a coastal city here. I'm not a saltwater angler, so this channel is going to be strictly based for freshwater anglers out there. Um, Living in Orange County, and well, first I should back up and say living in California, where the water situation is crazy low. Our fisheries have kind of dissipated throughout the past couple of years. My specialty is trout and bass fishing. I am making my way into the catfish kind of fishing, and so a lot of my videos will be about trout fishing, especially now that it being fall time here in California. Um, we're making our way into trout season, so a lot of my next future upcoming videos are going to be about trout, especially. Um, One thing, like I said, living in Orange County, it's very difficult for me especially, I guess, to find or be able to drive to a lake, natural, and experience that. Like, not like states like Tennessee or Alabama or Texas, where they have mini lakes throughout their entire state where they can go fishing. Here in California, we're very limited, and me being here in Anaheim, where I'm living in a city environment, it's super limited as far as fisheries. So I have around me right now a lot of man-made reservoirs, ponds, small aqueducts that produce decent to moderate type fishing. Um, a lot of places near me that I've kind of gathered a lot of my experience from, I should say, are man-made lakes. So like Irvine Lake, Santa Ana River Lakes, Laguna Niguel Lake, Huntington Beach Park Lake, El Dorado Park. The list goes on and on. One of the things that you can expect from a lot of these places when you live in an urban area is, one, you're going to have to pay to fish, and two, the fish there are stocked. So that's good and bad, just because you don't know how much these places are stocking, and you don't know what type of, conditions to expect at these places. Mostly being that some of the places here in California that I know of aren't very well taken care of, as far as like algae and grass, rocks in certain areas. They don't have much topography information on these fisheries. So for more experienced professional anglers, especially that rely on electronics and things like that, to make their fishing experience and have more knowledge about where they're at and what they're fishing, we don't really have that opportunity here in Anaheim, especially being a bank fisherman mostly. I do fish off of a boat when I can. I'll rent from the local places that I fish here, but it still is very difficult. So everything that most of the time when I'm fishing, I kind of know, get the insider scoop on if it's a new place. Ask some of the locals, call ahead, find out what they're biting on, some of the key areas that they're biting from, and kind of build and plan my fishing trip around that. Some of the apps and things that have come out for fishing, especially in the past, like Navionics, or Sportsman Tracker, or iSolonar fishing app. These are some of the things that I like to use. Even though those are urban fisheries, they still go off of the same basis. So that can kind of help when you don't have electronics, like a lot of other, kind of fishermen that have the luxury of going to lakes consistently and kind of really knowing where they're fishing, having home lakes and things like that. So when I go about fishing some of my urban places, especially now that it's fall here in Southern California, I'm going to be transitioning into trout season now. I do a lot of trout fishing, trolling, bait fishing off of boats and bank. I also do a lot of rigging. So on my future video, especially hopefully in the next week or two, I'll be releasing all the equipment that I use. One thing about that I encourage all anglers, I know there's a lot of videos out there about how expensive their reel is and their rod and all that stuff. This isn't going to be one of those channels where I'm going to share expertise on products, and endorse anyone. I'm kind of I believe in you kind of use the gear that you have. I do have nice gear though. I mean, it's not like it's cheap, but I'm just saying I want to kind of focus my entire channel on all types of fishermen and utilizing the gear that you have. In my experience and the way I was taught, you don't need to have a $200 reel to bring in a 20-pound fish. So I kind of want to reiterate that to you guys and kind of share that you can catch as many fish, as big a fish as you can with the gear that you have. Okay. Um, so I just want to make sure that you guys know that, and for future reference, if you have any questions or comments on where I get my gear, excuse me, or how to use it, I will definitely do more videos like that in the past. That brings me up to my next topic, which is living in an urban area where there aren't a lot of lakes, which means there's not going to be a lot of tackle stores. So I have to rely, personally for me, on a lot of major retailers like Walmart or Big Five or Sport Chalet to obtain a lot of my gear. Now, also the internet. But I don't really do a lot of internet stuff just because when I want something, I usually want to get it right then and there. So when I have to rely on these stores, I'm kind of limited to even the new type of things that are out there as far as rods and reels, because those types of places aren't specialty fishing places or stores. So I don't have that luxury of kind of being able to go and have that place bring in the next top thing and me be able to purchase it. So that's another thing that I will kind of focus on and reiterate to you guys, that you, like I said, you don't have to have the most expensive stuff to catch fish. And this channel is about catching fish, not the best equipment or anything else like that. So getting into it, I don't want to make this video as super long, it being my first video, but I want to just give you a few tips first on how I go about attacking my urban areas. So like I discussed earlier in the video, a lot of the apps and naviotics about topography and things like that, of knowing where to fish, how to fish, if you're fishing for trout, where are the areas that trout are going to be, fishing for catfish, where do you think, where it's going to be, topography, the topography about where those fish are going to be. We don't have that luxury. So a lot of times we have to go off of the local insider stuff. So there's a lot of forums and chat areas where people kind of congregate. I know the fishingnetwork.com, especially here in Southern California, is amazing when it comes to fishing insider fishing reports on that area locally, and it's recent, which is something that I like. I hate going to a new place I'm about to fish, and I go onto their website, and they give me a fishing report from 2011 or 2010 or even later than that. I want something recent, kind of tells me how that place is just before I, set foot on there and plan my trip around that. So the fishingnetwork.com is a great way for us urban fishermen to find out what's going on in that area. Also, even to find new areas to fish in those types of areas that, like mine, that don't have, like I said, a lot of big lakes or local reputable fisheries. So the next thing that I kind of go and I look at is the California Department of Fish and Game. Now, their website is constantly updated about where you can fish, where you can't fish, the rules, the stocking reports, and the scheduling for those places. So That's something that I kind of always keep my eye on, especially here in California, being with that we have a drought problem, and fisheries that were great fisheries in the past are no longer even filled with water. So the California Department of Fish and Game is something that I rely heavily on discovering new fisheries and then also gathering more information on the fishery that I am about to fish. So if you live in an area like mine, utilize those tips. If you're outside of California and you live in an urban area, New York City, Chicago, even though Chicago, you can't complain. You guys have your rivers and a lot of lakes there. But for any other urban area that may not have, which I really don't know very many other ones outside of California um, that have the same problem as me. But for all you California anglers out there, utilize these, the fishingnetwork.com and our California Department of Fish and Game website. I hope you enjoyed my first video. I know it was kind of long, but it's a lot of information I wanted to get out, introducing my channel, introducing you to me, and the next video that I'm going to be doing in the next week or two is going to be, I'm going out next weekend to finish out catfish season, so I'm going to do a little bit about rigging, the gear I use, a little about the spot that I'm going to be fishing, and some other information, tips and tricks on how to execute that type of place that I'll be fishing. All right, I hope you enjoyed my channel. Like, subscribe, comment. Keep the comments and constructive criticism, please, as this, like I said, this is my first YouTube video ever. So I look forward to continuing this with you guys, and I will be seeing you.